We are now moving on to our next panel discussion, Tomorrow's Talents Today, Grounding Space Technologies and Talents. Keynote speech is on how to accelerate space talent before students get into a university, the IEEE example. It will be delivered by Mr. Paul Hodgson, Chairman, the IEEE Hong Kong Consumer Technology Society, Oceanic Engineer Society, John Chapter.
今天的明日栋梁奠定今天航天技术与人才的基础。让我们有请电机与电子工程师学会、香港消费技术和海洋工程学会联合分会主席𝗂保罗先生上台演讲。
Distinguished guests, our 𝗖𝗘𝘚 and of course being invited to talk to something like this is a great pleasure, and to share some of the things that IEEE have been doing with everybody here is something that we're not used to. It's something that what we normally do is just get on with what we're doing. So what I'd like to do is to start with what's been happening. Oh, we're on the wrong one already. Okay, never happens like you think. IEEE is the largest engineering-based organization on the planet. Now, a lot of people like to say they are the largest. We really are the largest. Your internet, something.com, org, all of that is specified by us. 3G is specified, 4G, 5G, 6G, and we're now doing 7G is specified by us. The way that students learn technology in schools is also specified by us. Established in 1972, this is the Hong Kong IEEE. We've been here for a long time, and we've been busy watching, specifying everything we can, and trying to look at how we can do what we wanted to do, engineering for humanity. And it's very important we do that. So I've listened to a lot of talks here, and what I want to start with by saying is that it all has to start somewhere, and sometimes we forget that. IEEE realized that we need to get involved in education in a very special way, not to criticize it, not to try and change it, but rather to get involved in it in a very special way. So the way we decided to do it in 2006 in Hong Kong was to start ROV workshops, underwater robotics workshops. Something very simple, kids get very interested in. But there's a sinister part of this. What we're looking for is talent, and we can find it very quickly in these workshops. So when we start the workshop, within the first 15 minutes, we've got all the smart kids in the class. We know straight away. And what we do then is we allow the smart kids and also any other child that's interested to present at an engineering conference. What we want them to do is to realize a dream or a thought or an idea that they have that usually gets flushed away at school. We want them to realize whatever technology they're trying to do. And in doing that, we got a big surprise. The big surprise we got was that secondary school can actually perform as good as university students when it comes to engineering presentations. So the secondary school presentations that we do in Hong Kong, there's going to be one next month on the 11th, is the same as a university engineering presentation. There is also a paper that we ask everyone over 12 years of age to write, and that paper will go up on ResearchGate. We've had a lot of students join our programs. And we've been going for quite a long time, and we've obviously with OES we are very much water oriented. But what we've done so far is we have 75 published papers from secondary school kids. A 70% interest is on ResearchGate. Now that's better than a lot of universities. And in fact, what that allowed us to do is to go back to ResearchGate and ask permission to publish in mother tongue. We were the first ones to put up Chinese papers on ResearchGate. And as a result from that, other countries have done the same thing. IEEE gives you some clout to deal with these people. And we did that. We have 200 citations, one in Nature. So you've got a PhD student or professor that has cited one of our secondary school work in Nature, which is quite a big thing for us. In 2022, 2023, we work our benchmark off ROV because that's how we've interfaced into the schools, underwater robotics. We've got 60 basic ROVs built this year so far. We've got 140 mini ones built. And I've got 55 projects that we're trying to deal with for the next presentation. Our goals, SCAP. The students have to be doing something that's going to benefit engineering for humanity. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the engineering you're thinking about, which is building some piece of equipment. It can be an engineering which is looking at a particular system in nature. The largest engineering system we have on this planet is our natural system. We don't ignore that. This is an example of what happens. Once our students start publishing, they start getting offers. Last year, one of our students was cheeky. He got an offer, full scholarship from Oxford, which he turned down. So we've got people in Yale, Imperial, MIT, Purdue, and using the platform of the fact they have publications and they've attended an IEEE engineering conference. I'm not saying we're the only thing that gets them in, but it helps. It helps tremendously. So we're very happy to be able to do this. And we've tried to make this a little bit spacey. They publish scientific papers that are out of this world because this is a space program today. So just giving you some general things that they do. These are proper papers. And it's very interesting that we can get secondary school children to do it. We also don't ignore the Chinese universities. Some of our students will go into the mainland universities. IEEE is in the mainland as well. We're everywhere. So we look at everything as a global friendship city, and that's the planet. The effort to explore space. I'm going over some of the things that have already been covered. Elon Musk Starship. What that thing can do is phenomenal. 3 trips a day, 7 days before you need an oil change. Right? That's quite an achievement compared to what we used to have. And China's very much coming in behind it. So you'll find that if we look at history, there's always been leaders and laggers, and soon the laggers become the leaders. And we're very close to seeing this happen. And not just through copying technology. Some of the things that I'm looking at in the Chinese space program is not a copy of anything. They've come up with something that's uniquely brilliant. And that's come from somewhere. And that somewhere has come from a student, somewhere thinking of it. We've also got the rotating pulse detonation engine. This is the concept of having a rocket engine that continually produces thrust. That allows us to do all sorts of things in space. We're looking at practical habitats. They're getting very serious about this. And there's 3 levels that we've noticed. One is in space. Another one is on Mars, and another one is on the moon. Moon because we're fixated with getting fusion reaction. We need helium-3. That already justifies a moon base and getting it back here. Mars because that's what Elon wants to do. He wants to die on Mars, hopefully not on impact, I think was the last thing I heard him say. Lava tubes. We've found large lava tubes on Mars, and these are quite habitable. So this means that it's all possible. The problem is, there's no one to go. I heard a speaker say that the students graduating want to become financiers, bankers, lawyers, doctors. What about the kid that wants to get in a spaceship and sail off the end of the universe? Where the hell is that child? And this is what IEEE is trying to find. And we believe 2% of the children we educate are capable of this. And that 2% can lead many, many, many others. So we're not trying to change everything. We're targeting the 2%. And we're working well with them and also bringing in the other students because this has to be a team effort. Education is a 300-year-old system invented in Germany, pushed into UK, and what it promotes is bosses and workers. Yes, we need that in space, but not yet. We need to look at other things. We have predefined syllabuses. We all know because we've all gone through it. And it's all mark-oriented and exam-oriented. But when it comes to actually space, that is the ultimate exam. And there's a problem with passing it. Natural selection favors intelligence. Even stupid people are incredibly stupidly intelligent. If you try to argue with one, you'll agree with that. But the problem is, students and children have to find that intelligence. And school, we believe, doesn't necessarily promote that. And we believe that's very, very, very important. So what we try to do is, we try to create an environment where children can find their intelligence and apply it. That means we're missing out on a lot of talent. And there's a lot of pre-grained ideas. And that's one of the things that we believe is holding up the development of technology, including space technology. So what we do is we use project and problem-based learning modules. We incorporate these into the secondary school system. At the moment in Hong Kong, there is no engineering course in secondary school. It has to come through with STEM. And STEM here is not real STEM. If you talk to the people that develop STEM, they look at not just Hong Kong, they look at what's been happening around the world and they shake their heads. This isn't the direction this was supposed to go. And it's not achieving what we needed it to achieve. But anyway, we still try, and what IEEE has done is we've found a way to integrate engineering into existing schools. And I'll explain how this works. Secondary school is the place where youngsters forge their future ideas. And school serves as a medium to push it away. How many youngsters have you heard, I want to change the world? And as an adult, we look at that and say it's impossible. But people are changing the world. It does happen. I want to be a fireman. Oh, that's great. You must like smoking. I don't know. I want to be a taikonaut. A lot of the students that we work with come through with these, and there's a lot of space involved in it. I want to go to Mars. I want to go to the moon. I want to go to space. And it's possible. We've got the technology, but we lack the students. We lack the nerve and the initiative to be able to do it. We are now also moving into upper primary school as well. We're finding that that talent is already there. So what have we done in terms of space? We have lots of projects, environmental projects, building things, sensors, but let's just tailor it to space. One of our first students that we took in the early days is now an associate lecturer at MIT. He went to space. Katie has been on the ISS twice. She was an exchange student to Hong Kong. She joined into our program for a short time and she became an astronaut. Okay? And when she contacted me from the ISS, it was interesting because she said, it was something you said, Paul, that made me do this. And that humbled me because I couldn't remember what it was. And all I said to her was, she was sitting on the side of a boat and she was incredibly scared. Now is not the time to be scared, dear. When you're in the water, because we were diving with the sharks, then you get scared. And she took that with her. So we've got, today I'd like to introduce some of them because some of the students are here. I've got the CubeSat. We've already built a CubeSat under IEEE. Tony, do you want to stand up? We've also got the terraformers. We've already got people that are doing terraforming. In other words, they're turning sand into something. Girls, stand up. I asked you to do this before. Come on, stand up. Stand up. Why do we need terraforming? What they're doing will directly also have to do with what we do on Mars. They can turn sand into something you can grow stuff in. And I'm getting my wind up so I won't be thinking. This is the problem, correct thinking. We disregard schools. Tony is a Band 3 school. We don't invest in them, and we need to start thinking about it. And that's important for the government people here to recognize. And I'm not trying to criticize anyone. We're missing out on all this talent. These young minds have ideas. They come to us with the idea. I want to build a CubeSat. Okay, what do you want it to do? He tells us what he wants it to do. But what he did with the CubeSat was not selfish. He designed a CubeSat and he called it Hong Kong 1 CubeSat. It's for all kids in Hong Kong to play with CubeSats. He built a basic platform here that we can make in China. And that's important. It's not just for his, he's made it for everybody. So this is what we do, Kids Reach for the Stars. And what we try to do is mix technology with education, and we get results. And we're very effective at doing that. And what we've got now is CubeSat, we've built one. We're trying to figure out how to get it up into space. I was talking to the Taikonaut to see if we can use the Chinese space system to put a Hong Kong-built CubeSat in space, right? It's a very interesting machine. You'll have to talk to him or come to our conference on the 11th to know what he's doing with that thing, right? The terraformers are there. We've got a lot of people and a lot of children that really want to do space. So have faith in our students. How you can do it is if you can support what IEEE are doing. We are neutral, not profit. We need mentors, we need help. We need people with a brilliance in space so we can direct our students to you. And some of them are pretty young. And you guys can sit there and put in the thoughts and help them build their system up. So we're basically finished. We have 2 main programs we're running, Future Explorers for space and Future Explorers for the sea, because we still haven't finished exploring this planet yet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hodgson. Please remain on the stage to join our moderator and panel guests for the panel discussion. The session will be moderated by Professor Quentin Parker, Director of the Lab for Space Research from the University of Hong Kong. The panel guests are Professor the Honorable 𝗙𝗧𝗏 Wong, M.H. LegCo Member, HKSAR, Associate Dean External Affairs, Faculty of Engineering, Professor in the Department of Systems Engineering and Engineering Management from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and Professor Alan Lau, President of the Technological and Higher Education Institute of Hong Kong. Please come to the stage and be seated.
非常感谢郭保罗先生的精彩分享。接下来，让我们有请本讨论环节的主持人，香港大学太空研究实验室总监𝗏坤庭教授，连同2位研讨嘉宾，香港立法会议员、香港中文大学工程学院副院长、外务系统工程与工程管理学系教授黄景辉教授，以及香港高等教育科技学院校长刘建德教授到台上就座。
Professor Parker, please moderate the panel discussion.
Thank you very much. Well, after that excellent and very thought-provoking presentation, now over to the panel to respond to some questions that we've received from all over the world, actually. So the first question is, can you please give me some real examples or use a case that are being adopted in the GBA? Which cities have been more favourable to the technology? So who would like to answer that question? Anyone? Paul, would you like to have a go at that as an engineer?
I think that in terms of what's happening, our idea of putting an umbrella or a veneer over education and then catching the fast-growing things that come out through it is being adopted by a lot of people in GPA. We are not just working in Hong Kong. IEEE has a China side as well. And in our conferences, we welcome China teams to present. Guangzhou is doing a lot. Hong Kong is in a position where it's not trailing, but it's looking at it as a way to grow Hong Kong bigger. And I think, and to move Hong Kong forward. So we're in a position where and I think everyone's identified this, that we have a direction and we have a lot of incentive to follow that direction. If we look at other cities in the GBA, Guangzhou already has a very stable environment. They're looking at their education. We're also involved in doing ROV workshops and things, IEEE things up there, but less intensive. I think Hong Kong is probably one of the greatest contributors and has the greatest potential for this in the region.
you guys agree with that?
Yeah, Professor Lau or Professor Wong, would you like to add anything to that?
About education in GBA
Yes.
and technology education? Very different between Hong Kong and over there. I think what we are working on recently is trying to deeper collaboration between the two camps or two schools. I think that is necessary. I mean, there was once mentioned about the way that we teach in Hong Kong in the secondary, maybe a little bit sort of examination based or assessment based. What we need in Hong Kong, for example, we need more practice. Okay, that's from our side to their side, and the other way around is also true because the students over in GBA perhaps maybe a little bit studying in the closed environment in the mainland market. But when you really want to think about exploring the international market, you may have to come out a little bit. And then I think Hong Kong is a super connector for that one. So this is one of the reasons why that the government has actually want to position Hong Kong as also sort of an international education hub.
Thank you very much. This one, would you like to say something as well?
I quite agree on that because I travel to GBA quite often in order to set this collaboration between institutes and university in Hong Kong. And basically in GBA, there's quite a lot of students that like coming to Hong Kong, and they know about it. Hong Kong is one of the world center, and we have a very good education system here. And the only one of the most important thing is the local SME and the local enterprise. They are willing to invest quite a lot of resources for the new technology developments. So I do see a lot of students, a lot of education system or education institutions. They see that there is a bridge between Hong Kong and GBA, and the students come to Hong Kong to work, but the manufacturing hub now a lot are located in GBA. So how we can leverage about the benefit of both sides, that's very important. And the education system is one of the very important part. And just like the speaker just mentioned about, we need a lot of talents, but no student want to come in to this area, talk about the space. The reason why, because the young people scare about physics, mathematics, chemistry. Then how we can reshape or repackage, we promote this area to attract the student, that's very important.
But this is a very fair point. I wasn't quite sure about what the guy who asked this question really want to know. But from my point of view, from Hong Kong side of it, as you know from the statistics that the birth rate is getting very low, and then a lot of people are actually emigrating, and therefore we need new talents coming in. So what we actually need to do somehow in Hong Kong area, in Hong Kong, is actually to find a attractive program as such that we can attract more people from GBA, students from GBA to come over. And one of the things happening now, you may have heard about DSE. I mean, they're trying to make DSE sort of a formal examination routes for the mainland students, and there are many students actually taking that as well. If you look at it from a commercial way of looking at it, okay, so when the students are actually taking the so to say the general examination system in the mainland, I mean the chance, the statistics that you can get into the band A or very high good result is something like 1 out of thousands or 10,000s. But if you would think about the international scheme, which is the IB scheme, well, maybe 1 over 1,000. But when you want to do the DSE, the denominator is much less. But it is functional. It is a way that you can actually get the student out of China and to study abroad if you take the DSE certificate.
Another universities have just announced that they're going to be increasing the fraction of non-local students are going to be allowed in. So that's going to increase the numbers of excellent students from the mainland, but also I hope from other countries too. Not just Southeast Asia, which is also increasing, but also other parts of the world. And I think that's really important for our
I
city.
totally agree. Our scope now is on GPA, but we should not be narrow ourselves to that. I mean, look at what's happening with John Lee is actually going abroad to the Middle East. And I think this is a very important strategic area for us. I myself actually look at it now, in the near future at least, there will be a bipolarization of the world economy. In the past, for the past years, we have been relying on the sort of the Western economy. But as you see what is going on now in the geopolitical situation, then you can see that there is a building up of the Middle East economic circle. And then if you look into that for the future, then what we need to do is that to see how we can tap into that market. And to tap into the market, you need the people, you need the talents, and therefore we should actually attract more students, from the Belt and Road, for example, to come over here.
Yeah, sorry,
Thank you very much. We do have some more questions to answer, but
no, I realise, but just I'll be really quick. They asked for a practical example. I think the CubeSat was designed in Hong Kong, and what we did was we went over to our ROV making people in China, and they're in the GBA area in Dongguan, and they are the ones that manufactured it. And so they will now be sharing the CubeSat design that Tony did with the students that are in China. So I think it's bouncing backwards and forwards, and I think that is a practical example of what's happening now.
Okay, I have another question here. Well, there's a few questions. These are just a shortlisted one, so there may also be some questions from the floor, so I'll try to squeeze one of those in if I can, so we're short of time. Is what can the local government do that can help companies emerging in the new space ecosystem conduct a better product market fit?
I'd like to take that one. I had a slide that detailed what has to happen. We were very lucky to get government support 1 year, and we just lost the grant, or not lost the grant, but we applied and we failed to get it. IEEE would very much like to be more involved with the government, getting support, not just financial support, but also venue support and other things so that we can broadcast what we're doing to more schools and we can do more work. We're a non-profit, not-for-profit. So the more help we can get, the bigger we can go. So I'm hoping government can have talks with government so that we can sit down and work out how to solve some of the issues we have, because we're producing, and I hope everyone can see that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Lau, I think you'd like to add.
Okay, thank you. Before I'm moving back to Hong Kong, I was in Australia for 8 years, and I look after about the CubeSat and also the Industry 4.0 for the space technology, and basically focus on materials, manufacturing process, new energy, and also data science. And one thing that is very important is because the space technology is very new. I mean, in terms of Hong Kong, we cannot just go into the very general funding scheme or government support to support this industry. It's very difficult. But instead, if you look at the Australian government, even in Singapore, the government will identify this as an important area, then we will invest. So that is very important to support this industry. And the government should especially assign some of the funding to work with the local SME to support this industry to grow. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Because even you can have talents come over here, they can get into your program. University have a lot of programs, come into the program, but the student will think, after I finish the study, where I should go, where I can go as well. And this is something that we need to have an ecosystem. We have a student come into this kind of program, then the industry have to grow to absorb those graduates to work in this industry. And then the government have to have special scheme to push it. It's not just like the general scheme, and it doesn't work. So I think the government should learn from other countries. If the space technology is very important to Hong Kong, to Greater Bay Area, to the mainland China, then they have to assign special things to support it.
I could not agree with you more on that, and I'm hoping that today will actually be one of the spurs to make this happen. Okay, does anybody have a question from the floor before I go back to what's come in on my iPad? Anybody like a question? Ask a question of the panel? Sure, no one? Oh, okay, great.
It could be, it's a question for Paul. All right, I'm really impressed and your observation and all the young talents that you actually try to, like with the young talents, and you bring some of the young people here. It's really inspiring, and I really believe that the young people are really the future.
Now, one of the challenges I see in Hong Kong is, and I'm sure that others will connect as well, is not only that have failed to unleash the potential of the young talents, but also fail to recognize, because limited by all this system of the very narrow sense of assessment. But actually, I just work with a Band 3 school, and I see that they're so intelligent, no less than the top school in Hong Kong, which everyone putting all the resource, but not much resource. Another stumbling block is the teacher. All right, if the teacher trained that way, how can you help? How can we actually find a way to transform the whole system to help them to be able to reckon that talent, or actually at least pass to IEEE, right?
Yeah, well, this is one of the things that we found out very early, which is why what we've done is, as I said, put an umbrella over this education system. And I think what you said is, it's just so true. We don't care what band the school is. We're looking for the kids that come up in our ROV program and they start annoying me because they're the smart ones. And Tony was one, the girls the other, and there's like the list is just so long. And unfortunately in Hong Kong, Band 3, Band 2, Band 3 is just neglected. And I think it's not just a matter of throwing STEM courses at these kids. We need to be able to look at what IEEE is doing. It's not magic. We haven't patented anything. Everyone's welcome to take on the same challenges that we have, and we would encourage and we would help you do it. But we can't cope with all the schools that are here. We can't cope with all the projects. We can't cope with all the kids that come to us and say, I got a great idea, Paul, can we do this? And you go, yes, we can, but I can't do it because I just don't have the resources to do it. And a lot of those kids are Band 3 kids, okay? Tony's just one of so many, right? And his school's struggling and trying, but they're limited in resources. And the government's sort of, oh, Band 3, oh, okay, Band 3, Band 3. So we need to try and change that mindset. And the teachers, I think if the teachers have adequate training, and this isn't just a problem on Band 3, if all teachers are adequately trained to keep them up with the technologies. And the assessment, our assessment is IEEE assessment. We don't issue anything other than that. And because we do specify the way that technology is to be taught in schools, universities recognize IEEE assessment. So we have some students in secondary schools here that have 3 published papers. That's a master's degree application already. And these papers are good papers. And they have IEEE certificates, and they've been published in an IEEE conference. And we can't recognize any other way. But we invite people to join us, breed off what we're doing, continue to do what we're doing. And now I'll be quiet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Lau.
I totally agree with your view. And now the education system, I personally do not like it. Because when I compare with, I was young in Hong Kong, teachers have quite a lot of time to care about the students. But now the problem is a lot of teachers, they spend so much time for documentations, so a lot of workload. They actually don't have time to talk to the student. Even to take up one of the teachers, ask him about what the name of that student, they may not remember. But this is a problem. So if you want to make a change, I really would like to also go back to the government, try to reduce the workload for the teacher, let them more time to go out to learn something new, to teach the students. Because the world has been changing very fast. Even professor, I always mention about, in the past, professor, the knowledge can be used for 20 years. But now, even cannot last for 2 weeks. Because the world is going too fast.
I think that's absolutely true, and I think it's not just a problem of Hong Kong, it's a problem in many countries around the world. Compliance and regulatory burdens on teachers is so onerous, they've got very little time left.
The teachers should be encouraged to go out to take some courses to upgrade themselves, upskilling themselves, and then they know how to teach well for the young students. So this is, I should say, this is the thing that difficult to change, but we have to change. Otherwise, our system will have a big problem in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else want to add?
Yeah, just one thing that they could do almost straight away, because we are having a problem with the intake of students. Why can't we reset the class sizes? Let's cut back what the teachers currently have to deal with. And I think this would be one thing that would help in primary and secondary schools, and it would mean we could keep a lot more schools open. And I think education's an investment. You can't always get a return all the time. There's ups and downs. In Hong Kong at the moment with the low birth rate, we're closing schools, losing teachers. this is not really a healthy way forward, I think. Thank you.
What is the right size?
Depending on what sort of student you have, if you've got a class full of Tonys, you need 3 or 4 and a teacher, right?
How many?
3 or 4 and a teacher if you're looking at the above average students, okay?
1, 2, 3.
But if you're looking at, say, general education, no more than 10 in a classroom, I would say would be a good start for Hong Kong at this time.
I'd just like to add myself personally that I do agree fully about, secondary schools getting kids into this as early as possible. I'd also suggest that we must not ignore the primary school opportunities that there are too. I think it's really important to get kids into STEM as early as possible. Catch that interest.
But honestly, I know the government a little bit. They do have been promoting since 2015 or even earlier on this STEM education. Well, you can actually argue on the implementation efficiency. That we have a long debate on that one. But as far as the investment is concerned, take for example, they have a scheme where they pour in, I think it's 100 million for something called the IT Innovation Liability for secondary school, and then another, I think, 20 million or 200 million for this IT fund for secondary school program. And it's actually, the money is open for all schools, and I know that. But I mean, you can argue with me that whether this is sufficient or not, then I think it's debatable, that we can talk about that. But as far as the government is concerned, they know the reason, they know that they have to do something from primary.
Excellent.
As I always said, that like a musician, I mean, you don't learn how to become a musician when you are in university. You have to appreciate music right at the beginning, and we want someone to appreciate STEM right at the beginning.
Here.
Yeah, so can I just add to that? One of the issues we have with STEM education in Hong Kong is a lot of cases we see it, and it's just a bunch of Lego that the kids put together. That's one. It's the quality of the STEM education they're receiving. That's one. And 2, STEM is an add-on. It's not actually in the curriculum. So a lot of the teachers look at it as the kids having fun for 2 hours a week. There's no marking, because everything here has got to be graded or marked or recognised. There is no recognition for it. What we are doing in IEEE actually indirectly is recognising STEM. The projects that we're doing are very STEM-based projects, but they've been initiated by the child, right? And then the recognition the child gets is a conference. They get to advertise what they've got, and also they get a certification, and they get a paper. That's recognition, and it's not in the school system at all.
Yeah, we've got about 2 minutes left, gentlemen. Just any closing remarks that anyone would like to add to this discussion? Mr. Lau?
No, I would like to say is for the STEM, or talking about the STEM education, or talking about the resources. Now the matter is not whether we have enough resources. I know the government put a lot of money on that. This is the way how we can promote STEM. This is very important. We are not just like a student doing an assignment, you give you money, I give you a report. This doesn't work. In Australia, what I'm trying to introduce is the student coming to the aerospace engineering program. The first day I took them to go to the airport to look at the airplane, get on the private jet, and then they try to experience what is the aircraft. And then they're coming back, they know well, and they like the subjects. They know what they learned and how to apply it. So this is a way how we inspire the young people. But the way we do here is normally, go to take 𝗖𝗍𝗄𝑎𝑐, mathematics, and then you finish all the subjects, then you will be able to go to some sort of a bachelor degree you want to go. But this is not the way. I don't think this is the right way. We have to inspire them at the very beginning. Let them know about why aircraft can fly, why aircraft engine can then take the airplane, go to the sky, and why the new material can help we make the space shuttle. And we have to inspire them first, and then they understand, then they will come to this land.
Inspiration and motivation. Professor Wong.
I think you're a little bit narrow-minded on that. Sorry, I have to say that, because I think this has been practiced, but there is no standard way of promoting that, and therefore it really relies on the teacher. And whether the teachers are good enough, that's another story. But if you critically said that we are not practicing that, that's unfair. The government is actually promoting that also. So it's actually to the individual teachers, to the individual schools. If you go to the top schools, they are very good, I can say. But again, you mentioned about the Band 3 schools. Then I don't know, I cannot make that assessment, but you cannot conclusively say that we are not practicing that. We do. So it's just that there are some schools are not actually very efficient or not very effective, that's all.
Thank you. Paul, final comments from you?
And what I would like to do is, and this is a critique of the government, which is, I have to be careful how I word it. I wish the government would listen more. I wish the government would listen more. And listening more and looking at what the industries and what's motivating the industries, instead of coming to a conclusion that we're going to do this. So at the moment we have a great opportunity. All the Hong Kong school children have to travel to China to go on a trip and a course, and I thoroughly think that's a great idea. But why can't we go visit the space program for my space kids? Why does it have to be based on schools? Why can't we just get groups? IEEE is a recognized organization. And I'm saying with my white face, I'll probably never get into a space program. But the point is, my kids can. They can go visit what it's like, and they can attend seminars and presentations on the mainland in the subject that they want to do. And I hope the government can listen to this, and I hope we can do it.
The government is listening, I'm sure.
No, it's true. We do have a lot of aerospace program, and you know that. All your kids can go get it. It's an open bidding thing. I think the IEEE is eligible to apply for that one. To say that we do not have that platform or that scheme, again, is unfair. I mean, the government do have that, and then it's just a matter of going in and how to apply for it. It is a fair deal. It's a fair deal in Hong Kong.
Okay, well, that's an interesting and robust and very informative discussion with a lot of interesting debate, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we could all talk about around this subject area. So let's just thank all the speakers again and panel members. Thank you.